Dan Bublitz Comedy Productions.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, 'cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
It's stupid how, women can wear shorts and it's fine. But if a guy, wears shorts,
really cute this.
if a guy wears shorts on stage, everybody throws a, "You're not a professional comedian." Yeah, right. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. This has been good conversation, so I need to have this on, because that's basically what this is. We're just talking or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've come down. I know where I met Bill the first time. Is I came down and did the OK Party Battle Royal one time, and that's where I had met him. That's where I met, I think, a lot of the guys. That was like one of the first shows I did down in Omaha.
I did one of those. That was also one of the first shows I did.
Oh, really? I did.
I almost won it. I watched their little meter thing. Like, he had like 0.1 or 2 little things above mine, and he beat me. But, we went head to head pretty hard. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a fun
Bill
show.
and Rome were a couple of the first people I met and like became friends with.
Yeah, well, actually, that was the first time I met Rome in person. Was just the other night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen his stuff on Facebook and everything, but I hadn't met him up to that point. But I'd met Bill. Because Bill was actually who knocked me out of that battle royal, and then went on to win it. So it was a pretty interesting thing.
Wait, did Bill won that?
He won that night.
Oh, he's really good at comedy competitions.
Yeah. Well, it was.
I have a story about a show that was just. It was like probably the worst. I don't know. I'll talk about that if you want. But Bill also won that competition, and he was saying he was going to for weeks. He was talking so much shit.
Oh, and then he
about
still won.
How he was going to win. He won. He won
That's
hard.
Great.
He won.
Because it's always funny when somebody like talks smack about winning a competition and then they eat it.
Yeah, because like.
That's why the universe likes to humble me, so I don't talk like that, because I know if I do, I'm going to be the guy that gets humbled.
Yeah, I don't want to be boastful or anything. I don't ever want to do that, because that's going to come back and bite you.
Yeah, I'm going to show up and then just be humbled badly. Yeah, I actually was surprised that I even got that far in the competition. The round that I went up against Bill was like right before the finals, and I didn't write anything really up to that because I didn't plan on getting further.
Yeah.
Because I had the most ridiculous words to work with.
Same. Like, one was Iditarod.
Yeah. Mine was portmanteau. Was I think my first round, which I was like, what is this word?
I don't know if I remember the second one. I remember one of mine was prison pen pal.
And I had.
That you can work with pretty easily.
I had lit fam. That was another one. And at my age, I had no idea what that was either. I was like, what is this stuff you're sending me? But it was funny because, like I said, I shouldn't have got past. I didn't think I should have got past the first round. But the guy that I was up against, I don't think he'd been doing comedy at very long. And I don't.
Do you remember who it was?
I do not. I just know that he did horribler than I did. And so really, it was just who was worse in that case. That's how
you were
I
the
felt
best of a bad situation.
Exactly. It was kind of like the last election and how some people see it. It was.
I remember I didn't expect.
Bad.
I didn't expect to do well. Like I thought I would. I was like, I'll be out in the first. I wrote a bunch of stuff for all my. I wrote everything I could for all the topics I had, and I figured, like, I'm going to lose in the first round, and then I made it just to the very, very end of it, and Rome beat me, and I was happy. Like, I can be happy for Rome. If it was somebody else, I probably would have been like, no, bullshit. Rome was already my friend, so.
That's great. No, he, when Bill beat me, that was the first time I'd met him, but then he went on to win it, so then I was like, well, good. He won the whole thing, so I don't feel bad. Because we had a really, really close round. It was pretty close between the both of us, too, but. he had the final topic that they drew or whatever was chicken wings, and it was so funny. All he did is he basically just pulled out his phone and started reading facts about chicken wings. Well, because if you Google chicken wings or whatever, sexual things came up, and like. And he did this whole thing about how, of course, Google would know that that's what I'd be looking for, or not wings at a Wingstop or something like that. It was so funny. He murdered so hard. It was good. Oh, too funny. So you had a couple shows this week. I've heard you're kind of on a roll this week. You opened for Kyle, right?
Yeah.
And I heard that went really well. That's what people have told me.
That was my 1991 triple axel. Oh my God, that was awesome, because I didn't know until like a couple of days before that I was going to get to be on that. I knew he was coming, and so I was going to go regardless. I was excited to see the show, but you have that little bit of heartache, like I really wish I could be on it.
Oh, absolutely.
And then Brad Stewart, I mean, you know him, he has been so good to me. Like, he's given me so much stage time, so many opportunities, and I don't know what he did, but I guess he asked Kyle just if I could do a quick opening set, and Kyle was like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I've heard that Kyle's pretty cool about
he's really laid back. He was really nice.
And it's really nice for comics that tour like that and headliners like that when they're cool and they'll let some local people do guest
that
spots.
Means so much.
It does. It really does. And it's
they don't owe you that.
No, they absolutely don't. But but that just shows that, like, with comics like that, they know how it is because they were in that spot.
Yeah.
And when they return
it's hard to think of them being in that position once upon a time.
Oh, absolutely.
The opener.
Yeah, the opener. They're trying to just get the guest spot. It's funny. I actually had a friend that here recently. He tweeted he was going to be in St. Louis, not for comedy. He was just hanging out. But Jeremy Piven is doing stand-up now, and I don't know whether he's good or not. I don't really care, but he can sell out rooms because he's Jeremy Piven. You got that whole thing or whatever. But my friend was going to go to the show just because he was in town, but he tweeted at him. He was like, hey, how about a 5-minute guest spot? And then Jeremy replied, he's like, all right, bring your A game.
Nice.
And he ended up getting a guest spot on the show.
Oh, that is so awesome.
He did like a 5 to 7 minute set.
That is cool.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's never worked for me. It's like, I've tried that. I've tried tweeting at comics and be like, hey, you're going to be in town. You need an opener. I'm here. Just, random things like that or whatever. Brad, if it's somebody I really like, but yeah, I couldn't believe that. He tweeted at him and then got a guest spot.
So Brad weaseled me on there, and that was one of those ones where I guess I am super uncomfortable with feeling confident because I felt confident, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. But I wasn't really nervous or anything. It was so fun, and the crowd was really great. But the awesome thing is, there have been, like, every best set I've ever done, like, almost all of them, Ryan has said, do you want me to tape it? And I'm just in I'm in a defeated place, or just something just makes me go, no, just don't tape it, it's fine. And then you go up there and just murder.
That's why you should tape every set regardless.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You should just record it.
Yep, it's
I
true.
Always,
do it. Record all of your sets.
Yep.
Even if it is a terrible open
because
mic.
The best part is if it's terrible, you can just delete it. I mean, you should watch it so then you know what you did wrong. But I've did that where I've had a set and then it was terrible and I was like, I'm not even gonna watch that, and just delete it right away.
So I got to open for him, and I didn't get to just open for him. I got to do well, and I got to get it on tape.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Usually the universe says if you have a great set, it's like, hey, you can't prove this to anyone that wasn't there because you didn't tape it, and that I don't have to live with that regret.
You have my luck then, because the universe does that to me. There's actually a running joke.
I deserve it usually.
Well, there's a running joke with some of my comedy buddies about how if I have a good set, I probably forgot to turn on my camera, because it happens a lot. I've had all these issues where I'll either I forgot my camera, I forgot my tripod, or I forgot to hit record, and then I'll go up and have one of the best sets that I've had, and then I'll remember to do that, and then I'll just eat crap. And so they make fun of me all the time, because I'm always trying to get a good submission tape for festivals, because it's tough.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I just felt like that's like a Willy Wonka golden ticket.
That's awesome. So are you going to use it for submissions?
Well, duh. Of course.
Good answer. Well, duh. And then I seen you had your own show. Was that the first show you produced, or have you produced shows before that?
I've hosted stuff for other people. I've hosted Zoolarius a couple of times. I've hosted. Do you know Matt Blevins? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've hosted stuff for him. So this is the first thing I've done by myself.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So this is the first time you did it.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was just another night in comedy. I want to give you it was awesome, but I was like, all right, this is the first one. We got just keep going from here. I'm happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was not an empty room. That's what was nice. But I've always been really introverted, and so I don't have a social group. I don't know how to fill a room. I can't fill a room yet. And more people than I thought would be there showed up.
That's always a good feeling.
Yeah. And other local comics that I just, I didn't expect them to be there. And it was really nice to see them there. They could have done anything else that night, and they came and they hung out and watched that. And yeah, it was really nice. And I guess it made me a little uncomfortable to see people demonstrate caring like that, showing up at your show. But it wasn't empty, and that was nice. I was just kind of prepared for all right, this could this might just suck.
Yeah.
But it was at my favorite place of all time. It's my favorite place in Lincoln, Panic Bar. They've just been so good to me. I've just done a lot of showcases there, and they've been really good to me, and they all treat me really well, and apparently like my stand-up because they let me, do shows there and get away with whatever I want.
Oh, nice.
They give you a really comfortable space to do comedy. They just you can get weird. You can talk about whatever you want, and so it's hard to get better when there's 2 open mics a week. There's one here, and I live in Omaha, so I drive an hour to...
Which, yeah, that's why it's funny, because that's where I got confused. When I asked you to do this, I thought you were in Lincoln.
Yeah, everybody thinks that I live in Lincoln because I disowned Omaha.
He's all the stuff that I've seen regarding you and comedy related was Lincoln related.
Have you seen any of my little Omaha tantrums or any? I
know I haven't. But yeah, it was just funny because that's what. Then after I found out you lived in Omaha, I was like, well, damn, now I feel bad because I'm gonna be in Lincoln. I was like,
I thought that was funny. We met in Omaha.
That's why I was like, well, it's funny too because when you came in and then at first.
Wasn't I not looking at you in your mouth is that Haley?
I did do that to Tony because it took me a minute. At first, when you first came in, I thought you were Bill's daughter.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That is so hilarious. That makes me I want him to hear that.
Honestly, that was my first thought. And then I was like, well, could he have a kid that old? Or is she that young?
Yeah,
and then I was like, I
was born when he was 16.
So I was like,
we've talked about this.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I was like, wait a minute.
I think Bill did have a kid when he was 16.
Well, maybe he did, but
I think he has a
but
daughter
also,
my
you
age.
look like you could have been in your teens or whatever too. That was the other thing. So it was I was so confused at that because how late it was too. I was like, well, why would a teenager be out this late on a Friday or a Thursday? And then I was like, is he that old? I had all these questions, but then so that's all I was sitting on the couch just processing all of this while you guys were all like talking, and then you started kind of interacting with him, and I was like, no way, that's his dog. And then it clicked because I think Tony said something about your show.
Yeah.
I asked you about it, and that's when I was like, oh. And then I mouthed to him. I was like, is that it? And he's like, yes. And I was like, okay. It all makes sense now. At that moment of clarity.
Oh, that's awesome.
That epiphany when I figured it out. I solved that mystery.
But yeah, there was like a patch of time where Omaha comedy is, I will just straight up talk shit, I don't even care. Omaha comedy is really divided, and there was, I don't know if there still is, I wasn't around for quite a while. There was just a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of bullshit, you know how it is with probably all performers.
Well, yeah.
Just,
well, it's you see that actually in a lot of scenes.
Yeah. People got pissed at Rome and Bill. They were really, there was a bunch of stuff with that, whatever. It just got so dramatic and stupid that I said, I'm not even going to do, goodbye. And I just checked out for months, and I would only perform in Lincoln. I was super petty about it, and who would have I have a pink velvet jacket on. Are you surprised that I'm petty?
No, not at all.
And so I would only perform in Lincoln, and I didn't expect anybody to give a shit. It's just I'm gonna be a big fat Aries about this and prove my little point. And just when I was done, I finally just kind of calmed down and was like, all right, I don't care if it's a mess. I'm going to start performing there again. And now I'm starting to do stuff in Omaha again. If Bill or Rome ask me, I'll do it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think it, with scenes like
Have
that.
Have you ever seen, one or
happens.
two people just ruin an entire comedy scene?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I used to live out in San Diego, and that was a pretty big scene, and there's a lot of stuff like that. A lot of drama, a lot of stupid. It gets to become a buddies club, comedy does, especially in bigger scenes, where it's like every show, like a person will start a show, and then they're just booking their friends, so then their friends book them, and then every show, it doesn't matter what venue it is, it just becomes the same show.
Club.
It's just basically a tour of the same show, just at a different bar or whatever.
I'm super introverted, and so I just, this is all new to me. I'm really naive. And have you seen videos of a lion, a baby thing a baby antelope wanders in front of a lion, and it just doesn't know how to react with, it doesn't understand that it's in danger.
Just like, hey,
yeah. So the lion
play with you.
The lion just kind of looks at it and doesn't kill it because it's what.
It's like, you're so dumb, I'm just gonna let you live for a while.
Yeah, I'm the antelope. I'm figuring this all out, and
well, and that's
it's super dumb.
Kind of one of the things too, with comedy, that is always rough for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are or what, when you start. There's no there's no comedy university that you can go and just learn.
I didn't know you could just go out and do it. That's why I didn't start until I was 23. I didn't know you could just go do it.
Yeah, there's so many things you just don't know. But that's the worst part about it is that, and then a lot of the comics and stuff, they don't want to help other people. I've seen it slowly changing in certain areas where people are getting more supportive, and you do have those few people that are that will help people, other comics and stuff, and try to
Brad.
help them. Yeah, Brad is a very good example. He's the reason I'm at the Comedy Loft this weekend. He
cares about comedy.
If it wasn't for him, there's a chance that I could have got in by just sending in random, but he vouched for me, and he told me who I needed to contact, and he helped me, and I did what he said and sent all that info, and then they booked me, so I owe it to him for that. So he's one of the better people I've met in comedy. But it's, people like that need more of them in comedy, because otherwise for new comics, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's a shark pit.
It really is. Everybody wants their stage time, and they don't want to share it.
And that's why I just started making my own. That's why I started doing my own show, because it's hard to get the stage time. You need to practice longer stuff, because you only get a few minutes a week on open mics, and then I'm thankful for what we have in the comedy scene here, but you can't do something every night, and I wish that we could.
Oh, absolutely. That's the one thing I do miss about being in San Diego. I could be doing something every night because there was mics all the time, but now I don't have. I run a mic, but it's like once a month or whatever. But fortunately, I do shows. I travel a little bit now, so that helps. But that's kind of what I did too. When I first started, I started in where I live, which is South Dakota. And when I started,
where do you live in South Dakota? I fuck with South Dakota.
I live in a small town. Well, it's a smaller town. I live in Huron.
Okay, I know where that's at.
That's where I grew up.
Do you know where Aberdeen's at?
Yeah, I know where Aberdeen is.
I was, a lot of time in Aberdeen.
Yep, I have friends in Aberdeen. A good friend of mine puts on an open mic there.
Where?
At Slackers. They do it's monthly, once a month. It's usually the last Sunday of the month.
I'm going to schedule a trip around that.
Oh, absolutely. My buddy John Boone runs it. It's a mixed mic.
Nice.
They get, there's a big hip-hop scene in the Huron, Aberdeen area. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that because of those towns are that, but so they get a lot of hip-hop people that go to that, and then there's some comics and stuff too, because there's I don't know if you know Spencer Dobson is a comic that he's a headlining touring comic, but he lives in Aberdeen too. So
I didn't know that. Well, That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So actually, there's quite a few people in South Dakota that do comedy and tour.
What about Deadwood? Is there anything going on up around Rapid City, Deadwood, anywhere?
Well, there is in Rapid City. Well, I'm not sure now because they're kind of moving the venue, but there was the West Dakota Improv where they do shows. I know some comics out there too, some stand-ups out there. So there's a little bit of a scene out there in the Sturgis, Rapid City area. Deadwood, I'm not sure. People have mentioned that, so I've actually thought about looking into that.
Yeah, I'd like to do something up there because I love Deadwood.
Yeah, I think that would be great. But yeah, because even Timmy Williams from The Whitest Kids You Know.
I got to open for him once or twice.
He lives in South Dakota. He lives in Watertown.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yep. So, yeah, it's interesting that South Dakota, this state, has that. It's just
some
a weird thing.
Little vibe going.
Yeah, it is a weird little thing. But all right, well, that was a good conversation. We should. I want to talk about. That was all good stuff. That was the positive. Let's get into the bad stuff. I want to hear about a bad show.
All right. Well, God, this fucking Valley Girl.
Well, play the part.
I was born in Santa Cruz. I'm allowed to talk like that. Piece of shit. God, I brought Ryan with me today because you've watched a lot of my performances, and I can't really remember a time where I have just epically, the last time I just epically ate shit was February of this year. And it was on a show with Bill and several other comics, and it was, everyone just called it the Hood Show because that's what it was. It was a show in the hood in Omaha, and you can get mad that I said that, or you can go down to 24th and Lake and you can tell me that I'm wrong. I went down there and I'm like, oh yeah, I know it's going to be, different than what I'm used to. And I mean, it was a comedy competition like the Night at the Apollo type of thing, where they yell at the people, and there was no structure to this show. It was just a sea of people excited to execute every comic that came on stage, and I knew it was gonna be bad, but there was one of these Funny Bone comics from Omaha, and they went first, and they had no stage. The sound system was not good. I realized there was just a hard cutoff in the middle of the room to where you walk past the middle of the room, you cannot hear the comics anymore.
Oh, wow.
So the back half of the room can't hear anything. And it wasn't even 2 minutes, and the crowd ate the first person alive. Like if they didn't like you, they'd yell, "Show 'em the door." It was called Show 'em the Door Comedy Show.
Oh my God.
And they just ate this person alive, and I just remember thinking, "Oh my God, this is gonna be so bad." And it was like 100 and some people there, like 150, maybe a little under 150, between 125 and 50. So like either the size of the Kyle Kinane crowd on Monday or a little more than that.
How many people can fit into the zoo bar?
125.
That blows my mind because I've been in there and I'm like...
It was like hot from
I
how many
believe it.
people
I was
were
like,
in there.
You're like, there's many people that show, and I was like, God, I didn't, because I've been in that bar and it seems so small, but...
Yeah, I didn't expect that many people to fit that comfortably.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It was still
like,
hot
I
and really
believe
packed,
that.
but it wasn't totally uncomfortable.
Well, that's
like it was
good.
just an intimate show. But yeah, so I got up and I just, I went in the middle of that show, the Show 'em the Door one, and I just kind of accepted my fate before I went up there, and I don't know what it is, like you'll need a whole nother episode to explain like my brain chemistry and just why I'm like this and why I respond to things like this. But I went up there and like I came out pretty all right. I could have done it, and I lost confidence, and like they just immediately smelled it on me, and I just got kind of boring with my set. I lost my momentum, and there was this girl who was yelling out during a lot of people's sets. Like she was in the back where you couldn't hear, and she would just get bored and yell, "Show 'em the door," and I watched her just do it for fun. She couldn't hear what was going on, and she didn't give a shit. And so I'm losing steam in my set, and she yelled, "Show 'em the door," and I just immediately snapped, and I just yelled, "Oh, what's that, bitch? No, I'm not done talking."
Oh,
And we had this little exchange, and I said something like, "Fuck this comedy bullshit, get on up here, let's turn this into an MMA match."
Oh, jeez.
I'm one of the only white people in this room, and I have no friends with me.
And you're like trying to start a fight.
I'm trying to fight an entire neighborhood, and I mean, I wasn't like
Did she come up to the stage?
She got up,
but she didn't.
She got up. She was like, "What?" And I said something else, but the last thing I said was, "Why don't you come on up here and kick my ass?" And the crowd just went fucking insane, and I just got the fuck out of there.
Oh, wow.
And everyone just looked like they were gonna shit. And like this story has like the weirdest ending. Like nobody's happy with this ending, and I love it. I love that everyone feels cheated by this ending. So I had that terrible set. It was embarrassing. It was horrible. And now I'm like, well, I'm probably gonna get the living shit beaten out of me. And I got off stage and I wanted to go talk to that girl that I was. Yeah,
oh,
everyone's face did what your face just did. And this woman is going, no, don't go back there. Do not go back there. Everyone's telling me, hey, do not. And I was like, no, it's fine. And I went back to her, and she looked kind of scared. Like, she saw me in her eye. Like, I was like, why are you scared? You have 100 friends with you, and I am alone. Like, you are here with a group of, like, she looked like, oh, God, it's the crazy bitch. And I just said, hey, I'm sorry I called you a bitch. I don't think that. Like, I just apologized. And I was like, I'm just putting on a show. It's, and she said, girl, I couldn't even hear you. Like,
wow.
And we were just, like, nice to each other for a minute and said, like, oh, yeah, it's fine. And then she told me that I smell good. And that's the end of the story. And then I went home and I like tried not to cry because it was such a horrible set.
I smelled good, and that was it.
Yeah, that's the end of the story. I called her a bitch and she told me I smelled good.
Well, it sounds like that you won that battle.
No, but I guess like
you left the victor on that one.
I went like I did a roast battle. I've done 3 of Bill's roast battles, and I've won all 3 of them. And the first two, it was like, this is not a fair fight. These people have no chance, no offense. But the third one was like, this is evenly matched. I might lose this one. And I don't really think I deserved to win that, but I did. So I'm whatever. Like, it was close, but it was, I don't know. They were good too. And there were people from the Hood show there, and they brought that shit up. Like, people still talk about that. I'm like, oh my god, there's gonna be people that might always think about that. And like, the worst part of it was, like, that happened. I was the only one that did that. Like, that's why I say, like, I'm the Tanya Harding of comedy. I will make a scene. It is unpredictable. It's either gonna be really good or really bad. And I forgot what I was gonna say.
You got so heated there, thinking about the moment. You just look like you're ready to punch somebody.
Yeah.
And just like, "Argh!"
Everybody always says that. The first thing, there's a Omaha comic named Kill Theodric, and one of the first things he ever said to me, he just came up to me. He was like, "You look like you're about to kill somebody."
That's funny. I was like, now I'm wondering. I was like, are you here on your own, or are you? Have you been kidnapped? Blink twice
He's
if you
an
need help. No. A hostage, or did you come on your own? That sounds like that would have been an interesting show. It's always those shows that are.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. There was this really weird woman who. She's like, I don't know how else to say it. She's like she's an ex like meth head, and she just shows up because she's fucking weird and she wants to do what you're doing, but she can't, and she's not good at it. She's insane. She's an insane person, and she Facebook lived everything and like made me look really bad. Like, it was like I was the only one. Like most of the people on that show had a real bad time.
Oh, but.
She like made it look like
I hate when people Facebook Live shows.
She made me look really bad, and there's nothing I can do about it. That was really hard for me to accept. That just that footage is out there, and you can probably still find it somewhere if you dig through the guts of the internet.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not. Yeah. I hate
just,
that.
Like,
it's
it
one of them
really
things
matter,
where it's
but
like.
It's still like, it just sucks that like 30 seconds of your life, like, oh, that could resurface at any time and just fuck me over.
No,
especially
absolutely.
if it's taken out of context.
No, absolutely. Well, that's like one of the worst things about our time now with. Everybody has a camera and social media
but
and everything.
The good
Like,
news
I think
is
about
we're
that all the
die.
time. Well, that's true. We are. I'm waiting for it.
A little ray of sunshine for everybody.
I was like,
listening.
I just turned 40 last week, and I was like,
That's
I
hot.
made it to 40? Holy crap.
I can't wait to be 40.
It's funny because people are always like, well, that's midlife. Well, how do you know? Man, midlife could have been when I was 30. I don't know that yet. Hell, midlife
you
could have been
a good 3 years left.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it could have been 22 might have been my midlife. We don't know yet. It's unpredictable.
Oh my god, one of my favorite things anyone has said to me. I used to work in a mall, and like everybody tells, like I've looked at my face for every day for many years. I know how old it is. I see all the lines on it and stuff, and like everyone says, like, oh, they make some sort of comment about how I look young. Like some people think I'm a teenager, which is really weird to me, but how old did you think I was? How old did you?
I thought late teens. I figured you were probably like the 16 to 18
I'm
range.
26, and I'm so jaded when I. How do I look like a teenager?
But
like,
in the context that I met you in, we were at Bill's place, and he's quite a bit older, so.
That's
you know what I mean? Like, so it was like that comparison, like.
Is it weird that
seeing
all of my
like
friends
that
look like you? Like. I feel like this.
Okay, now I feel
weird
like you just insulted me.
People always.
Wait a minute.
That has to look weird. Like, all of my friends are
maybe to other
like,
people, but
bearded
being a comic,
white men in their 40s.
Being a comedian, that doesn't surprise me because there's a lot of white bearded guys in their 40s that do comedy, which is so funny because I did this open mic the other night in Omaha with them guys before we were over there, and there was this comic that just crushed
Who was it?
Carmilla Anderson.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Oh my God, she is the queen of Omaha comedy. She is hilarious.
I never.
Hilarious.
It's been so long since I've laughed that hard at an open mic. I was literally at one point on my knees laughing so hard because some of the stuff she said was just. But anyway, after the show, after the mic was over, I went up to her and I was like, "Oh man, you had a great set." And I was telling her that really liked her stuff or whatever. And she's like, "You had a really good set too. Really liked you." She is incredible. And she goes, what was that joke you had? With the teachers and the fucking." And I was like, "You mean the like shaving my beard so I look like a teenager?" She says, "Yeah." I was like, "That wasn't me." She had mistaken me for another short comic with a beard. It was so funny.
Oh my God.
I was like, that was the other short comic with a beard.
Well, me and Carmella, just a couple of weeks ago, we did a show at a strip club. This might be bombing. Like, I don't know if maybe I just block it out of my mind. Like, I've done shitty plenty of times, and mostly I just learn from it. That's all.
Well, that's important.
That's the whole point of it. It's an important part to get up there and fail and to be terrible. Like, that is important.
Mm-hmm.
That is an important part of the whole experience of comedy and getting better at it, and learning to just be okay with that. Like, don't go on. Like, I love being comfortable on stage. If I'm comfortable, then I'm.
Well, this is a good kind of a lead into some of the standard stuff that I like to talk about. What do you try to do to get better? Like, when you do have a bad set or where you feel like you failed, what are the things you look at to try to do to improve?
I love when I get those on tape. If there's people at an open mic and they're just there and they're not listening at all, it's really hard for me to get into the set.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I kind of want nights like that right now because I need to learn how to be up there and be okay with it when people aren't paying attention. Because, like, some of them didn't come there to watch comedy, and it's not their fault if they don't want to watch it, like, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's a fucking Monday night, you know what I mean?
That happens a lot, especially at bars.
Like, I'm not entitled to your attention, in my opinion. Like, if you come to a show and do that, then you're kind of shitty. But if it's a fucking open mic, like, I'm really sensitive, and so I guess I need the failure to kind of learn how to deal with my sensitivity. Trying to figure out how to word. Like, I'm not used to people listening to me. That's like I am like, oh well, if you don't yell, nobody's gonna listen. So like,
gotta demand their attention.
Yeah, it takes me a minute to collect my attention. I don't like if I get scared on stage. If I get intimidated, usually it's nobody's fault but mine. But if I'm intimidated on stage or too self-conscious, like I'll yell and. Like, it'll be more angry and more aggressive than funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. And everybody knows me as the angry comic and stuff, so I don't like that. I don't want to just be the angry comic who yells. Like, that's funny, but, like, I have a lot of energy on stage. There have been a lot of times where people aren't listening, and then they do listen to me, and I don't want to sound like I'm stroking my own dick or anything, but it's just... What do you think? Like, he's seen it. I get up there and there's a lot of times where I just demand the attention without trying.
Yeah, I could see that. I get that. I mean, but I think that has to do with like stage presence and stuff too. Like there's different comics.
I love just being on stage. Like I just need to learn to be comfortable with it, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. That's actually a point I wanted to come back to. I was gonna mention it when you were telling your story about the out the door, show me the door show, where you said that you kind of lost your self-confidence in the crowd.
Yeah, they felt it. They smelled
and that's
it immediately.
Exactly,
like,
and that's one of the things
scared.
that I've noticed, like in comedy, if the crowd can tell that you're insecure about your material or that you're not confident with your material, you're not gonna have that crowd. They're gonna sense it and they're gonna eat that shit. They're gonna eat you alive.
Yep.
And it's like one of the worst feelings too, because you can just
see it coming. You can just see it in their faces and their eyes. They're like, "Oh, you don't think you're good. Why should we?" That kind of thing, and which can be very intimidating, because then it even adds more, because then you get even more intimidated and more self-conscious,
Just
and
a
it's just
little
like,
loop
yep,
starts,
it's just a
little
loop.
feedback
Yep,
loop.
yep, pretty much.
Like being, I love, this has happened a few times. There's something on stage, like it doesn't work, and you find a way to acknowledge that or just make fun of it and make that funny. I love that. Like if,
That kind of happened to me last night. I had one good set, and then the second show was not so great.
I hate when that happens.
And yeah, that was going back to the universe humbling me.
Yeah.
That's what happened there, because I had a great set the first show, and I was like on top of the world. I sold some merch and just like and then the second show, I just wanted to like jump off the building after the set. But it was funny because I had made a comment about, I had an interaction with a lady that I couldn't see her because the lights or whatever, and she was like in the back or whatever. But then I just ended up like, and I couldn't understand quite what she said, and then she almost like, we were almost having a conversation, and then I just went on this tangent about, I was like, I can't see anybody, I'm just having a conversation, this could all be in my head, maybe I'm crazy, maybe none of you exist, I could just go mad and then like just jump out this window and run down the street, wouldn't that be a great show? Like I just went on this tangent about what was happening, because also I was getting frustrated because nothing was working, and then they loved that, and then I should have just kept going with that, but then I tried to go back to material or whatever. But it was
one thing I really disappointed myself. The first time I hosted Zoolarious, they do this thing at the beginning. They give out free high fives as part of every show, and so I had to do the high five thing, and I was super hyped up, and I forgot that I have smoked every day of my life for like 10 years, and so I didn't realize I was going to get winded. I like sprinted through the whole place. By the time I got back, it was like Axl Rose at that place where he just ran, like he was totally out of breath and gross, and I just got up there and I was that, and I was like, and I didn't. Like, I just got intimidated. Like, I should have just played into that and, like, milked that. Like, I should have just gone with that and used it. And I got scared, and I got self-conscious, and I just was like, okay, it's your first performer. But that was a learning experience. Like, hey, bitch, don't get scared. Like,
no, absolutely.
You ruined it by getting scared. You didn't ruin it by being out of breath. You ruined it by getting scared.
Yep, exactly. And not being in the moment. That was something I was talking with one of the comics that was just hanging out at the club last night about that too, about how like when things happen on stage, just being in the moment and kind of addressing it and like making it seem like it was part of the bit, as opposed to, this just happened.
Like, something went wrong.
Happened. You make it out like you meant to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
You didn't mess up, because that's what happened. Because I know where I screwed up on the set. I made a comment about, I opened up, did a couple jokes, and then I was about to do a joke that I realized that I did not do the joke. It was a callback joke, and I realized I didn't do the first joke. So the callback wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah.
So I didn't do the joke, but then I was like, oh man, I was about to tell a joke that would have made no sense. And like I called myself out, and I shouldn't have, because they didn't know that I made that mistake. I only did, and I said it out loud. But then that's when we were talking about how if I would have did the joke and whatever, I just, you just make it look like you do it on purpose. Like it's the bit. Play into it, I guess, is what it would be. And that'd be kind of the same thing with what you're talking about when you got up there out of breath. You could have just played into it.
Yeah, I could have made fun of that. Yep. That was just material dying to happen, and I threw it away.
Yep. But it's easy to do, because it's like, we all want to, I feel like we all want to do our best on stage, and it's easy to get we're all really insecure about stuff like that.
Why do you think we're here?
Exactly. So it's easy to like get up there and just like lose all our confidence on something. And because I don't know how it is for you, but I'm always want to do like the best. And if I know, even when I'm on stage, like I'm already analyzing my set, and if I know I'm making mistakes and this and that, I'm already
chewing myself out.
I think I chose comedy because it's the only career that's going to not love me the same way my parents did.
Oh, man.
Nice and inconsistent.
That's funny. Yeah, I hope you should. That should be a bit. You need to talk about that on stage. That's funny. One of the final things that I like to talk about, the feeling, the bumming of bombing. That feeling you get
it's
after
just so. It's like it's almost like a drug. It just rushes through your veins. It just overtakes you for a minute. Oh God, it's such an awful feeling.
It is. How
You'll
long
walk
does it
back
usually
to your
last?
car after you eat shit.
Oh, I know. It's the worst. I know. So how long does that last for you, typically?
It does not take long for that to morph into motivation. All failing has ever done is motivate me, and I think I have a lot of personal just fear. You know, everybody does. It's tied to failure. You know, I need to just accept it, and it's I don't know. Like, I've never had a moment of, like, after a bad set, I've never questioned doing comedy. I've never been like, oh, that was so bad. Like, am I even doing the right thing?
You haven't bombed hard enough yet.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah. I haven't had that moment yet.
It's coming.
There's going to be that moment
eventually.
where, are you going to keep doing this or not?
Yes. You're going to have that moment, because we all do.
that February one, that was pretty bad. I was upset about that for, like, almost a week.
Could about imagine. All right. How can people find you? Do you got any social media?
I play on Instagram a lot. Play around on there. I call it playing. Play on Instagram.
Yeah, right. You sound like you're a Valley girl.
Facebook kind of sucks, but if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Haley Ravenclaw, Haley, and then like the Harry Potter house.
All right.
Haley Ravenclaw.
Yeah. Wow. Such a millennial.
Oh, suck my dick.
Thank you so much, Haley.
Thank you.
This has been a Dan Bublitz comedy production.